Yeah, hi everyone. Hope you're doing well today. Sorry for a few minutes late there. So let's actually do the chanting straight away without having a chat before. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata gati gati parasum gati buddhi swa. Tayata gati gati parasum gati buddhi swa. Tayata gati parasum gati buddhi swa. So now time for some meditation. So get yourself nice and comfortable. To suit yourself, whatever is suitable position for yourself. Gently close your eyes, lips gently touching, tongue resting on the upper palate, in the mouth, above the top teeth. Bring your mind inside your body, starting at the bottom and working your way all the way up to the top. And as you pass these areas, as you focus on them, then release the tension from that area at that time, if there is any. So release the tension from your toes, the bottom of your feet, the balls, the arches, the heels, top of your feet, in between the toe bones, and then around your ankles and Achilles tendons. Your calf muscles and shins. All around your knees and upper leg, the quad muscles, the hamstring muscles, Also the hip flexor muscles, and groin, and glutes. On and just above your hips, lower stomach and lower back. And working your way up to the center of your back, up your sides a little, up the stomach a little, your chest area, underneath your arms, sort of around the lateral muscles and underneath the armpits. In your upper back, the rhomboid muscles that are in between the shoulder blades and the spine. The upper trap muscles that run between the neck and the shoulders. Release from your shoulders and upper arms, biceps and triceps, your elbows and forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. Now bring your focus to release whatever tension you may have in your neck, front, sides, and back of your neck, and the back of your head, and sides of your head around your ears and temples, from all around your face, around your cheekbones and cheeks, your jaw. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. From around your chin and mouth, inside and outside, your nose and sinuses, eye sockets and eyes, and forehead. Make sure you're not frowning. And also from the crown of your head. And now very briefly scan your body again from the bottom to the top, just to see if there's any leftover tension that you can release. And if there is, do so. And now you can bring your focus initially to the tip of your nose. And the object of the meditation is the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, all the way into your lungs, then back out your nose again. So you're breathing in your nose. As the air passes your throat, it's quite cool on the way in. Passes the chest area or bronchial area. Enters the lungs as they fill with air. They expand. Stomach or abdomen rises a little. As you breathe out, they compress and the stomach or abdomen drops a little. Passes your chest area, and then the air is quite warm as you breathe out after being inside the body. Breathing out your nose. So breathing in and breathing out. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths. One in breath and one out breath is one, and so on. But only count up to 10. And if you get distracted on the way to 10, go back to 1 at that time. So counting is the extra technique to help you to focus on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in and out. So the object remains the feeling of the breath. Put more simply, the breath. Focusing on the breath as you breathe in and out. Physically, all you have to do is sit here or whatever posture you're in and breathe. Mentally, all you have to do is focus on your breath or the feeling of the breath. And if your mind gets distracted one way or another, then you replace your mind back on your breath. That's all you have to do mentally. It includes mindfulness of the breath, awareness if your mind wanders away from the breath, and conscientiousness to replace the mind back onto the breath. Expanding a little bit, if thoughts arise or some sort of emotional feelings, any mental activity arises, any mental agitation, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Also, don't try to force it away or even deny it. but simply recognize it and then let it go by replacing your mind back onto your breath. Nice and peacefully, nice and calmly, nice and brightly. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then replace it onto the breath more brightly. So let's practice like this for a little bit in silence. Be happy. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be lazy. If you have good meditation, don't attach to it. If you have distracted meditation, don't get angry at it or frustrated at it or because of it. Let's just be here and now. Things are what they are in the here and now. So now we can rejoice and feel very pleased with ourselves for engaging in the practice. Just remember that even short meditations like this are very beneficial, extremely beneficial in the long run. In your own time when you practice, do it for a little bit longer. But even if you stick to these, I think maybe then, including the instruction at the beginning, maybe we do it for like 10 minutes or something with a breath meditation. So even if it's just that, no problem. I rejoice in the fact that you're practicing. So now let's, first of all, forgive ourselves for everything. Sort of introduction, you could say, to the loving kindness meditation. Just forgive ourselves. Let go of the past. Don't worry about the future. Be in this moment. And also forgive everybody and have everybody forgive you. We won't do the actual forgiveness meditation, the visualization and so on, but just these thoughts. Forgive yourself, forgive others, have others forgive you. Just let it go. Don't hang on to this mental baggage. And let's fill ourselves with universal loving kindness, utilizing the visualization technique of visualizing our whole being with the white light. Friendliness, non-violence, harmlessness, appreciation, gratefulness, respect, and so on. Loving kindness covers all of this. The word metta is multifaceted. We have to use quite a lot of words to explain it in English. Very closely related to the word mitra, which means friend. Fill ourselves with so much loving kindness that it now overflows, radiates outwards from our heart center, and enters into the heart center and fills other living beings, initially our family, our friends, loved ones, filling them with the universal loving kindness too, wishing that they are happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful. Now also include strangers, those people you may know a little or not at all, and doing likewise with the white light representative of the universal loving kindness, and have the same aspiration and wishes for them to be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And likewise for those people that you may find irritating, may even regard as enemies, fill them with a universal loving kindness as well and have the same wishes. So now let's radiate further and further distance-wise to all living beings now. Those we may know about, those we don't know about, those within this realm, other realms that we have learnt about, and even ones we don't know about. Starting around your immediate area, to all of these sentient beings, whether they live on the land, under the land, whether they have bodies or not, whether they fly through the air or live in the waters, whether they're born from eggs, wombs, moisture, or through transformation. Filling them with the universal loving kindness. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And may all the living beings throughout infinite space eventually realize supreme enlightenment, their true nature. So now let's radiate the loving kindness throughout our whole state or county, and other states and counties throughout our whole country, and all of the countries throughout the world, as well as all of the waterways, the oceans, and so on, down to the core of the earth, to the outermost atmosphere, and beyond our atmosphere, throughout the whole solar system, and throughout the whole galaxy, and the universe and beyond. Have the loving kindness that's generated in our own heart in the beginning, initially, now radiate throughout infinite space. And at the same time be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So, we continue our discussion and discussions. As you know, we're up to teaching number 50, or quote number 50, with the explanation in my book. And this relates specifically to the third principle of the path, or the third principle path. Out of the three paths, we could say, okay, the three principles of the path. The first one, reminding you, is renunciation. And these are genuine now, not just some sort of idea. turning our mind to the Dharma. And also Bodhicitta, the great compassionate intention to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings and to help them to do likewise. And also the wisdom of emptiness, which is what we're up to. And once again, I'll say that we have been covering this anyway. We've been kind of intermingling them for quite some time now. Okay, so we'll continue to do this. And I kind of allotted like 3 weeks, 3 Dharma classes to discuss this. This, you may recall, this is a song called Everything. Song about emptiness and impermanence, or vice versa, really. Impermanence and emptiness, okay? And the quote in the song, or the explanation and what are the words I'm working off, are actually the chorus of this song. If there was 51 of the quotes, then actually maybe the verses of this song would have got a mention in the book as well. So I left this up to the publisher and what to put in the book of the teachings that I'd already written, So that one didn't make it, but I'm going to include it in this commentary. Now we've had commentary. I've utilized this teaching, this song before, which is inspired by the Diamond Sutra, as you will come to hear, and I've utilized it before for teachings during teachings when we've been discussing emptiness or the wisdom, the perfection of wisdom, so on, okay? So we've already done it a few times, but now we're doing it from my writing from probably 2016, I think, so 9 years ago, this would have been written. And I'll utilize, like I said, the verses as well, which is similar. The actual explanation is quite similar to this one from the point of view of introducing what this is and so on, except obviously different examples related to each line. Okay, so let's have a look at it. The quote, everything comes and goes. No space, no time, no thing knows everything. Just let go. Don't hang on to the past. No one owns anything. So you know this song, like I've said. Everything is like a flicker of a lamp, the life of a flower, a star at dawn, a dewdrop in the sun. Everything, everything comes and goes. No space, no time, no thing knows. Everything, everything. Let it go. Don't hang on to the past. No one owns anything. Everything is like the changing of the tides, lightning in a summer cloud, a bubble in a stream, a phantom and a dream. Thus shall we think of all this fleeting world. So that's basically the song, sung quite low without the guitar. And of course the chorus is repeated, but I didn't do it that time. So everything comes and goes. No space, no time, no thing knows everything, because no thing, we're talking about all phenomena. Just let go. As I sing it, actually in the song, it's let it go. Don't hang on to the past. No one owns anything. We think we own things, but we don't. We think we own this body. We think we own this mind. But if we owned the mind, it wouldn't change. It's just changed. Do you own your anger? Do you own whatever wisdom you have? Do you own compassion? If we think we own something, we spoil it. We mess it up. No thing knows everything. No one owns anything. So the explanation is this. Now, I should mention, because we started about 5 minutes late, that wasn't my fault, actually, for a change. Leanne got distracted, I think. So obviously she would apologize if she had her mics open. But that happens sometimes, doesn't it? Excuse me. So she said she was ready and everything, and then she got distracted for probably what appeared like a minute, like I've done in the past, and all of a sudden 5 minutes has gone by. So because we'd started a little bit late, I'm going to aim to finish this on time, the normal time. But we may, because Leanne started the video or started the class um, later than normal, then maybe we're still going to have the extra 5 minutes. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. Okay, so maybe I can quote the song there. No thing knows anything or everything. And we don't own this Zoom class, do we? We don't own time. We don't own whether it's going to be 40 minutes or 35 today. The quote or teaching: everything comes and goes, no space, no time, nothing knows everything, let it go. Don't hang on to the past. No one owns anything is actually the lyrics of the chorus of a Dharma song I wrote in 2002 called Everything, which is a song about impermanence and emptiness. It was inspired by a verse spoken by the Buddha in the Mahayana Prajnaparamita Vajracchedika Sutra, the great vehicle, perfection of wisdom, diamond cutter scripture, or you can say diamond cutter perfection of wisdom scripture, which is part of the Prajnaparamita or perfection of wisdom sutra collection. It is popularly known as the Diamonds Sutra. The song appears on the Birth of the Buddha CD that I recorded with Dharma brother Roger McLaughlin in 2010. Of course, Roger and I actually go back to I don't know, maybe we met in the mid to late 80s and then started working together in music, probably around 1989, something like that. So, and of course, I got Roger involved in recording this. So he basically produced it, you could say, and did all of the engineering and playing of the bass. Obviously, it's his number one instrument, but he also played all of or most of the keys, keyboards, and of course, I did all of the guitars. Basically, I think Roger did some of the guitars too, depending on who had the idea, really. So what we did. And of course, he did all the programming. We didn't have live drums as such. We had recorded live drums that we utilized, and he programmed them. And then the other instruments too. We didn't have, for instance, saxophones and trumpets and things like that, which are in some songs, but we got them from programs. So he did all of that stuff because I'm pretty useless with that that technology. I tend to have, through my life with music, always been live. Same with Rog, actually, always live, but he sort of kept up with it, and I didn't. I was in the temple instead, rather than learning about these things like Pro Tools and recording devices on the internet, online, and so forth. But anyway, so we recorded that song as part. It actually played a part for the passing away of the Buddha in the birth of the Buddha. Um, uh, CD and mini musical that we got children to play the parts. Okay, I won't bore you with any more details because I've explained these to you, and we actually went through commentary on these maybe a year and a half ago now, was it, or was it 2.5? I can't remember exactly. I think 1.5 years. Well, just prior to doing the commentary on the Universal Love Sutra or the Metta Sutra. Okay, enough of that. So here's a very brief explanation of these words. And so I will read them to you now, and then over the next 2 weeks after today, then we'll actually dissect it a bit more, give more explanations. Some of them you will have heard me speak before. Some of them you may have heard or read from the Buddha's words and maybe other teachers. And then other ones, I'll see if I can come up with some new ideas. But I won't come up with new ideas if they're not at least as good as the old ideas, okay? So here's a very brief explanation of these words. Everything, all conditioned mental and physical phenomena, comes and goes, arises and ceases, always becoming something else, dependent on cause and effect. No space, no time means nothing exists independently. All things are interdependent. no thing knows everything means, and with no self-identity. Just let go means don't be attached to anything. And don't hang on to the past means to live in the present moment. No one owns anything, for there is nothing permanent to own anyway, nor a permanent self who owns anything. I hope these words are somewhat helpful in clarifying the meaning of this profoundly deep subject. Also, it may be helpful to know that one way to apply this teaching to everyday life is for us not to hang on to our worries and troubles or our likes and dislikes, and not to take anything personally. This way, we allow ourselves the freedom to live in the present. Enjoy yourself on your journey of discovery. Enjoy yourself on your journey to realizing the truth. But don't attach to it. As soon as we attach to something, we spoil it. It's almost like we muddy it, nice clear cup. Then you get involved with it and all of a sudden you can't see through it anymore. Sediments, or maybe there's some sediments in there, comes up, all the bubbles come, it's all stirred up, you can't see through it anymore. But if you have no attachment, you can see through that pure water, that good water. Just like the mind is like that. As soon as we attach to something, or the opposite, have aversion for something, then we stop ourselves from clearly seeing it or perceiving it. All right, so as mentioned, the verses, so the other teaching from this one, everything's like a flicker of a lamp, a life of a flower, a star at dawn, a dewdrop in the sun. Everything is like the changing of the tides, lightning in a summer cloud, a bubble in a stream, a phantom and a dream. Thus shall we think of all this fleeting world. This very similar sort of explanation, basically just few words changed here and there from the first two paragraphs, and even a little bit afterwards, but different explanation, obviously, because they're different sentences or phrases or expressions. So in this case, very, very briefly, you can say everything's like a flicker of a lamp. The lamp, even it either goes out, but you still can light it again. So neither going out, not extinguished, but also not continuing, not coming into birth, all that sort of stuff. But also the flickering lamp, always changing, isn't it? Maybe a little bit of breath on it, a little bit of breeze on it. Flickering, doesn't stay the same. So everything's like a flicker of a lamp, a life of a flower. The flower's changing all the time. Sometimes flowers live a little longer depending on the flower and also the environment, the weather, and so on. Sometimes very quick. Life of a flower, a star at dawn, disappears when the sun comes up. A dewdrop in the sun, the same. The warmth of the sun dries up the moisture on the blade of grass or a plant or something. Everything's like the changing of the tides. The tides never staying the same. Lightning in a summer cloud very quickly happens. Then maybe something else happens. Lightning in the summer cloud, a bubble in a stream, it doesn't last again. And the bubbles within the water itself, contacting some air and so on, and then doesn't last. And then a phantom and a dream, so that which we perceive when we're awake, that when we're sleeping, doesn't stay the same, and also has no self-identity. And this is the way, the Buddha said, this is the way we should perceive this fleeting world, this changing world. So now it is the time for the class to finish. But like I said, it may go a little bit longer because we started late. So I'll continue. But right now I'll say I rejoice in your goodness, as always, a meritorious goodness. And I encourage you to study the Dharma clearly. Don't do too much, don't do too little. And then practice the Dharma, whether this be meditation on the cushion or practicing Dharma off the cushion. and then sharing it with others, whether this be through formal teachings, words, giving instruction, giving some, clarifying some doubts or uncertainties people may have, or just through your vibes, your good vibes, loving kindness vibes, compassion vibes, and radiating them outwards, even just mentally, it really does work. It's not as a tiny little bit of practice, actually helps a little bit, just like if there was a big fire in the forest, and you put a little bit of water on it, put a little bit of water, it actually helps. Then, of course, it can encourage others, whether human beings or beyond human beings, to actually put the fire out, So, yeah, the good actions, never sort of belittle goodness and the goodness that you engage in, okay? Just as, like water, if, for instance, if you have a cup like this and a little drip of water, eventually it fills up. So the goodness like that. And of course, the opposite as well. Avoid the opposite. The evil, if you could call it. And also the same with, like, another example is if a little drop of water on a rock, eventually over time will wear away the rock. So a little bit of goodness, never belittle it, never think it doesn't come to anything. But of course, then you can encourage yourself to do bigger things of goodness, to making up my own grammar here. Okay, so like I said, I encourage you to practice, to study, practice, and share the Dharma to the best of your ability, and rejoicing in your goodness always, and rejoicing in the fact that the Dharma is in the world. It's amazing. It's still here now, 2,600 years after the Buddha. And as I mentioned last week, it's craziness in the world, so it's so rare to come into contact with the Dharma in its pure form, and then to have the genuine intention to practice ourselves. Very rare. The crazy psychotic stuff going around in the world, don't get involved in it. Look at it maybe just to know on the worldly level of what's happening around you, what's affecting things around you, but don't soak it up. Or if you do just for a second, then let it go. Realize I can't do anything about all of that craziness. So then look after your mind. You can do something about that. We can alter our intention, our attitude to be for the better, okay? And so we're still continuing. And so basically, maybe I'll just go back into reading this again. Everything comes and goes, no space, no time, nothing knows everything. Just let go. Don't hang on to the past. No one owns anything. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? But do you really realize, already perceive, even just a glimpse of what emptiness is, emptiness of self, the fact that no thing knows everything. All phenomena don't understand everything because we live in a way that is conceptual. Conceptualize everything. Give it a name. Give it a I like or I don't like. All of a sudden, duality. We live in a dualistic way, so we can't perceive things directly for what they are. But if we use our intellect and use our ability to investigate and analyze, then we can get to learn. And once again, I'll share with you